Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and dreamer, let me take a moment to tell you something important. Every single person in this room has battles they're fighting, battles that no one can see. Some battles are fought on the outside, where everyone can see you struggle, but many more are fought in silence deep within your heart and mind. We don't always talk about these battles, do we? We hide them behind smiles, behind our busy lives, and sometimes even behind a mask of strength. But here's the thing, mental health is as real and as important as physical health. We've all heard the phrase mind over matter, but what if the matter is too heavy? What if your mind is exhausted, struggling, and yearning for peace? Can you push through it just like you would push through a physical challenge? Or do you need to give it the care and attention it deserves? The truth is, we often overlook our mental well-being. We ignore the warning signs because we are too busy, too proud, or too afraid to admit that we need help. But mental health is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of being human. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay to feel lost, to feel sad, or to feel like the weight of the world is too much to bear. But it's also okay to ask for help. In fact, it's the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. You don't have to be strong all the time. And you certainly don't have to face it alone. What if we stopped pretending that everything was fine when it wasn't? What if we embraced vulnerability instead of hiding it? When you face your mental health head-on, when you acknowledge your struggles, you give yourself the permission to heal. And healing doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one conversation or by following a simple piece of advice. It happens gradually, one step at a time, as you learn to prioritize your well-being. You know, sometimes people tell us to just get over it or don't think about it so much, but if it were that easy, we'd all be fine, right? Healing doesn't come from avoidance, it comes from understanding. It comes from realizing that your mind needs care just as much as your body. It comes from recognizing that your emotions are valid, that your feelings are worthy of attention, and that your mental health is something worth fighting for. To anyone who's struggling right now, let me tell you this, you are not alone. You don't have to walk this path in silence. Ask for help when you need it. Reach out to those who care. Speak to a therapist, talk to a friend, or simply sit in silence with yourself and allow yourself the grace to heal. The world can wait, but you cannot. We are all allowed to have our moments of weakness, and in those moments, let's not forget the strength it takes to face them. The journey to healing is not linear, it's not always easy. And there will be days when you feel like giving up. But trust me, the strength you need is already inside you. It's in your persistence, in your courage to continue when the world feels too heavy, and in your ability to show up every day, even when your mind feels too tired to carry on. So let's start dealing with our mental health. Let's start the conversation. Let's break the stigma. Let's take care of our minds the way we take care of our bodies. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of healing. You are enough. Just as you are. Mental health is as important as physical health. Yet for far too long, society has treated it as secondary, something to be overlooked or even dismissed. This idea, deeply ingrained in many cultures and communities, has had a profound impact on how we perceive our own well-being. Physical health has always been given more attention, more resources, and more focus, while mental health struggles are often swept under the rug or seen as weaknesses. But the truth is, mental health is not only as important as physical health, it is an inseparable part of our overall well-being. We live in a world that constantly emphasizes the importance of physical fitness. From a young age, we are taught to take care of our bodies, eat well, exercise regularly, get enough sleep, and avoid harmful habits. These actions are all essential for maintaining our physical health. And yet, when it comes to our minds, the same level of awareness and attention is often absent. We are not taught to prioritize mental health the way we are taught to prioritize physical health. There's no gym for the mind, no structured routine for emotional well-being that's as normalized as a fitness regimen. When someone breaks a leg or gets diagnosed with an illness, they receive an abundance of support, care, and understanding. They can lean on others for help, and the process of recovery is widely understood and accepted. But when someone struggles with anxiety, depression, or stress, the response is often different. There's a stigma surrounding mental health struggles that doesn't exist with physical ailments. People may be told to snap out of it, just think positive, or it's all in your head. These dismissive comments can be incredibly harmful, further isolating those already feeling misunderstood and vulnerable. The reality is that mental health and physical health are not separate entities, they are deeply interconnected. What affects one affects the other. Take, for example, stress. Chronic stress can lead to physical ailments like headaches, of high blood pressure, heart problems, and digestive issues. Likewise, physical health problems can also take a toll on mental health. Someone living with a chronic illness or recovering from surgery may experience feelings of depression, isolation, or anxiety due to the toll it takes on their body. The mind and body work together in a delicate balance, and when one suffers, the other cannot remain unaffected. There are many ways in which mental health directly impacts our physical well-being. Consider sleep, for example. Mental health disorders like anxiety or depression can make it incredibly difficult to sleep, leading to insomnia or disturbed sleep patterns. Sleep, in turn, is critical for physical health as it affects everything from immune function to cognitive performance. Lack of sleep due to mental health struggles can lead to a weakened immune system, increased risk of chronic diseases, and an inability to focus or perform at your best. It's a vicious cycle: poor mental health affecting physical health, which in turn worsens mental health. Another clear example of the connection between mental and physical health is the impact of stress on the body. When we are under stress, our body releases hormones like cortisol, which can be beneficial in short bursts, such as during an emergency. However, chronic stress leads to the constant release of these hormones, which can cause inflammation, weakened immune function, and long-term damage to organs like the heart. Mental health conditions like anxiety and depression can elevate these stress levels, creating a cascade of physical health issues that can be difficult to reverse without addressing the underlying mental health concerns. Furthermore, mental health is not just about the absence of illness, it's about well-being too. Just as we aim to maintain physical fitness through regular exercise and healthy eating, we should also cultivate practices that support our mental and emotional health. These practices, such as mindfulness, self-reflection, setting boundaries, and seeking support when needed, are just as important as physical exercise for maintaining a balanced and healthy life. There is a growing recognition of the importance of mental health in modern medicine, but we still have a long way to go. Mental health care is often underfunded, under-researched, and underrepresented in the healthcare system. While physical health is prioritized in hospitals and clinics, mental health services are often seen as an afterthought, not as essential as their physical counterparts. The lack of attention and resources dedicated to mental health is not only a disservice to those struggling, but also a missed opportunity to improve the overall quality of life for individuals and communities. The disparity in mental health care is not only present in healthcare systems, but also in the workplace, education, and family dynamics. Mental health problems can significantly impact a person's ability to function at work, at school, or in social situations. Yet many workplaces do not offer sufficient mental health resources, and educational systems often lack support for students dealing with mental health challenges. Families may not always understand or know how to deal with mental health issues, leaving individuals to navigate these struggles alone. This lack of awareness and support can make it difficult for individuals to seek help, perpetuating the cycle of poor mental health. As a society, we need to start treating mental health with the same level of seriousness and respect as physical health. We need to create environments that foster mental well-being, where seeking help for mental health struggles is as normalized as seeking help for physical health issues. This includes advocating for better access to mental health services, educating communities about the importance of mental health, and breaking down the stigma that surrounds it. It's time for us to acknowledge that mental health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We cannot expect people to function at their best if their mental health is compromised. We cannot expect to have thriving communities, productive workplaces, or strong families if we don't invest in the well-being of the mind. Just as we have learned over the years to prioritize physical health, we must now learn to prioritize mental health. This shift is not only essential for individuals, but for the collective well-being of society as a whole. Understanding the importance of mental health means accepting that it's okay to not be okay. We live in a world that often glorifies busyness, productivity, and achievement, leading many to ignore or suppress their mental health needs. We equate success with constant action and motion, yet we rarely stop to ask ourselves if we are truly well emotionally, psychologically, and mentally. Mental health struggles don't discriminate. They affect people of all ages, races, and backgrounds, and they can take many forms, from anxiety and depression to eating disorders and PTSD. And just like any physical ailment, they require attention, care, and treatment. In recent years, the conversation around mental health has started to gain momentum. More and more people are speaking out about their experiences with mental health challenges, and organizations are beginning to prioritize mental well-being. But we are still in the early stages of this conversation. Mental health awareness is growing, but it's not yet where it needs to be. We need to keep pushing for a society where mental health is given the same attention as physical health, where no one feels ashamed or afraid to talk about their struggles. So, what does it mean to treat mental health with the same importance as physical health? It means that mental health education should be just as accessible as physical health education. It means that mental health services should be easily available to all individuals, regardless of their background, income, or location. It means that when someone is struggling with their mental health, they should feel supported and encouraged to seek help, not stigmatized or dismissed. It also means creating a culture where self-care is normalized not as a luxury but as a necessary practice for maintaining good health. We need to teach people that it's okay to take breaks, to ask for help, to say no, and to prioritize their mental and emotional well-being without feeling guilty or selfish. In a world that is increasingly fast-paced and demanding, self-care should be seen as an essential part of life, not an afterthought. Treating mental health as equally important as physical health means that we must continue to have open, honest conversations about it. We must challenge the stigma and silence that surrounds mental health struggles and work towards creating a world where people can talk about their mental health as freely as they talk about their physical health. The more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, and the more people will feel empowered to take care of their mental well-being. It's okay to not be okay. Vulnerability is a strength. We live in a world that constantly emphasizes strength and resilience, but often in ways that overlook the importance of mental and emotional well-being. There is a misconception that to be strong, one must never show signs of weakness, and this includes hiding any struggles related to mental health. We have been taught, consciously or unconsciously, that vulnerability is something to be avoided. It's seen as a flaw or a failure, something that needs to be suppressed in order to maintain a sense of composure and control. However, vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a powerful part of being human. Acknowledging that it's okay to not be okay is one of the most important steps toward emotional growth and healing. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that we must always appear strong, that we must always have everything together. The idea of toughing it out and pushing through without showing any cracks has been romanticized in many cultures. This may be especially true in certain professional or societal environments where productivity, perfection, and the ability to maintain composure are highly valued. The result is often a silent internal battle that can leave a person feeling isolated, misunderstood, and even ashamed of what they're going through. The reality, however, is that no one can be strong all the time. We are human, and part of being human is experiencing a full range of emotions: joy, sadness, frustration, confusion, and yes, vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as exposing one's weaknesses, but it can actually be a source of immense strength. By embracing vulnerability, we allow ourselves to process our emotions and experiences rather than bottle them up. We allow ourselves to seek help when we need it, to lean on others for support, and to acknowledge that we don't have to face the world alone. It's important to recognize that vulnerability doesn't mean being weak or incapable. In fact, it takes great courage to acknowledge one's struggles and to be open about them. It's much easier to put on a mask and pretend that everything is fine, but doing so only perpetuates the cycle of isolation and self-neglect. When we are vulnerable, we open ourselves up to the possibility of connection. Vulnerability invites empathy and understanding from others. It shows that we are human, and in doing so, it helps create spaces where people can be open about their own struggles as well. This shared experience of vulnerability allows for deeper, more authentic connections, and it reminds us that we are not alone. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we also give others permission to do the same. We create a community of support, a network of individuals who understand the challenges of life and are willing to stand beside each other through them. Many people struggle in silence because they fear judgment or rejection. They believe that admitting they are not okay will cause others to see them as weak, incapable, or flawed. This fear is often compounded by the stigma surrounding mental health and emotional struggles. We live in a world that values strength and independence, but this can sometimes lead to an unwillingness to share our vulnerabilities. However, by failing to express our true feelings, we often find ourselves carrying an emotional burden that grows heavier with time. The longer we hide our struggles, the more we internalize the belief that it's wrong to be vulnerable, that it's unacceptable to ask for help. Yet, the very act of acknowledging vulnerability is transformative. When we allow ourselves to admit that we are not okay, we take the first step toward healing. We allow ourselves to acknowledge our pain, our doubts, and our fears without shame or self-judgment. This act of self-compassion is the beginning of recovery, of finding peace amidst the chaos of life. Vulnerability is not about weakness, it's about being honest with ourselves and others. It's about being authentic in the face of adversity, allowing ourselves the grace to heal rather than forcing ourselves to pretend that everything is fine when it isn't. Vulnerability can lead to growth. It allows us to learn more about ourselves and our emotional needs. It teaches us how to cope with difficult emotions in healthy ways, how to seek out support when we need it, and how to set boundaries to protect our well-being. It also helps us develop resilience, not by ignoring our emotions, but by learning how to navigate them with grace and understanding. Vulnerability, in this sense, is a form of emotional strength, as it takes courage to face the discomfort of vulnerability and grow through it. It's important to remember that being vulnerable doesn't mean exposing every part of ourselves to everyone. Vulnerability is about being honest with ourselves and with trusted individuals in our lives, people who will listen without judgment, offer support without criticism, and create a safe space for us to express our feelings. It's about finding the right balance between sharing our struggles and protecting our emotional boundaries. Not everyone needs to know everything, but the people who matter, the ones who genuinely care, will provide the empathy and compassion that make vulnerability a source of strength. In today's world, mental health challenges are more prevalent than ever. We face unprecedented levels of stress, anxiety, and uncertainty, and the pressure to appear strong and unshakable can be overwhelming. The truth, however, is that embracing vulnerability is one of the most effective ways to cope with these challenges. By acknowledging our struggles, by allowing ourselves to say, "I'm not okay," we begin to reclaim our power. We stop pretending to be perfect, and instead we embrace our imperfections, knowing that they are part of what makes us human. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to admit that you are struggling, that you need help, and that you cannot carry the weight of the world on your own. In fact, doing so takes incredible strength. It is a reminder that we don't have to live in isolation, that we can seek connection, and that vulnerability is not a flaw, but a sign of authenticity and emotional intelligence. The more we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, the more we empower ourselves and others to do the same. Vulnerability is a reminder that we are all in this together, and that together we can overcome any challenge that life throws our way. Healing is a gradual process, not an overnight fix. Too often we are led to believe that healing can happen quickly, that once we acknowledge our struggles, the pain or distress will simply disappear. This mindset, however, can lead to disappointment and frustration when the healing process doesn't meet our expectations. The truth is, healing is a journey that takes time, patience, and a deep commitment to self-care. It doesn't happen instantly, and it often involves setbacks and moments of doubt. The idea that healing should be immediate is not only unrealistic, but it also underestimates the complexity of emotional and psychological recovery. The first step in understanding healing as a gradual process is recognizing that it's not linear. It's easy to expect that once we start on the path of healing, we should only move forward, that every day should be better than the last. However, the reality is that healing comes in waves. Some days we may feel stronger, more capable of handling our challenges, and more at peace with ourselves. Other days we may feel overwhelmed, exhausted, or even like we've taken a step backward. This fluctuation is part of the process, and it's essential to accept it. Healing is not about a straight trajectory toward a perfect, problem-free life. It's about progress over time, with moments of growth followed by moments of struggle. In this journey, it's also important to understand that healing isn't just about removing pain, it's about learning how to manage it. Pain, both physical and emotional, is a natural part of life. We will all experience some form of suffering, whether it's from loss, disappointment, trauma, or any number of other challenges. What healing does is help us find ways to cope with that pain, to understand it, and to live with it in a way that doesn't completely overwhelm us. It's about finding meaning in the struggles we face and learning how to integrate our experiences into our lives in a way that fosters resilience rather than despair. A key part of this process is self-compassion. Too often, people who are healing tend to be their own harshest critics. They feel frustrated with themselves for not getting over it more quickly, for not being able to heal faster, for not being able to function at their usual level. But healing requires patience, and it requires a gentle understanding of where we are in the process. It's okay to acknowledge that we're not okay. It's okay to recognize that healing takes time. And that's not a sign of weakness or failure. We often think that we should be fixed as quickly as possible, but the truth is that healing is about embracing the journey, not rushing to an end point. Each step, no matter how small, is a part of that journey. One of the challenges of healing is that it often requires us to confront things we'd rather avoid. Whether it's painful memories, uncomfortable emotions, or unresolved issues, healing asks us to face these parts of ourselves. This can be an incredibly difficult and uncomfortable process, but it's also essential for growth. Avoidance may provide temporary relief, but it only prolongs the healing process. Healing requires us to be brave, to sit with our discomfort, and to allow ourselves to feel whatever comes up without judgment or shame. It asks us to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge our pain rather than deny it, and to allow ourselves the time and space to heal. Another misconception about healing is that it requires us to go through it alone. Many people feel isolated in their pain, as though they must carry their struggles in silence. However, healing is not an individual process, it's one that is deeply enriched by connection. We don't have to do it by ourselves. The support of others, whether through family, friends, therapy, or support groups, can provide the encouragement, understanding, and comfort that is so necessary during this time. Healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when we open ourselves up to others and allow them to walk with us on our journey. Sometimes simply sharing our experiences and knowing that someone else understands can be a powerful catalyst for healing. The gradual nature of healing also means that it requires ongoing self-care. It's not something that can be fixed with a single action or change. It's about consistently nurturing ourselves over time. Self-care may look different for everyone. It could mean engaging in physical activities, practicing mindfulness, getting enough sleep, journaling, or spending time with loved ones. The important thing is that we make self-care a priority, not just during times of crisis, but as an ongoing practice. Healing requires us to tend to our emotional, mental, and physical health regularly, recognizing that we are worthy of care and attention at every stage of the process. One of the most challenging aspects of healing is that it often requires us to let go of expectations. We may have a clear idea of how long the healing process should take or how it should look, but the reality is that there is no prescribed timeline or formula for healing. The path may be longer than we expect, or it may take unexpected turns. What is important is that we remain committed to the process even when it feels difficult. Sometimes healing involves sitting with uncertainty, not knowing exactly when or how things will improve. But over time, we begin to see the progress we've made, even if it's not in the way we originally envisioned. Healing is also about acceptance, accepting ourselves, our experiences, and our current reality. It's about coming to terms with the fact that we are not perfect, that we will face struggles, and that there will be times when we fall short of our own expectations. Acceptance is not about resigning ourselves to a life of pain or suffering, but about recognizing that our imperfections and struggles are part of who we are. Asking for help and not facing struggles alone is an essential aspect of mental and emotional well-being. We are often taught to be independent, to handle things on our own, and to not burden others with our problems. Society tends to value self-reliance and the idea that we should be able to figure things out by ourselves. This belief can create a culture of isolation, where people feel like they have to carry their burdens alone, even when they are struggling. The truth, however, is that no one is meant to go through life's challenges alone. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength and self-awareness. It requires a deep understanding that we cannot and should not bear the weight of our struggles in isolation. There's a misconception that asking for help means you're incapable or unable to manage your own life. This idea often stems from the fear of being judged or rejected, or from the belief that others will think less of us for admitting that we are struggling. However, the reality is that everyone faces challenges at some point in their lives. No one is immune to hardship, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can begin to let go of the unrealistic expectation that we must always be strong and capable. It is important to understand that asking for help doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. It shows that you are aware of your own limitations and are willing to seek support to help you through difficult times. The fear of asking for help is often fueled by a sense of pride or shame. Pride can make us feel like we should be able to handle everything on our own, as if asking for help would diminish our value or reputation. On the other hand, shame can make us believe that our struggles are too embarrassing to share, or that we are somehow undeserving of assistance. Both of these feelings can prevent us from reaching out when we need it the most. But the truth is that no one has all the answers, and everyone needs help at one point or another. By acknowledging this and allowing ourselves to seek support, we not only relieve some of the pressure we are under, but we also open ourselves up to the possibility of healing and growth. Asking for help is not just about receiving practical assistance, but also about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. When we reach out to others, we are making ourselves open to connection. This act of vulnerability can be uncomfortable, but it is also where true connection happens. We allow others to see us at our most authentic and raw, and in turn we invite them to share their own vulnerabilities. This creates a bond of empathy and understanding that can provide comfort and reassurance during difficult times. It is through these connections that we often find the support, encouragement, and compassion that can help us navigate our struggles. In many cultures, there is a stigma surrounding the idea of seeking help, especially when it comes to mental health. People may feel that reaching out for emotional or psychological support is a sign of failure, or that they will be judged for doing so. This stigma can be incredibly isolating and can prevent individuals from accessing the resources they need. It can also make people feel like they are alone in their struggles, when in fact there are many others who are experiencing similar challenges. The more we normalize asking for help, the more we break down these barriers and reduce the stigma surrounding mental health and emotional support. Asking for help also teaches us the importance of self-awareness and self-compassion. It requires us to acknowledge that we are not invincible, that we cannot always carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. This awareness is a powerful tool for personal growth. It helps us realize that we are worthy of support, that we deserve to take care of ourselves, and that it's okay to need others. Recognizing that we are not alone in our struggles also helps us develop a deeper sense of empathy for others. We begin to understand that everyone has their own battles and that it's okay to lean on each other for support. The act of asking for help can also be empowering. It may feel intimidating at first, but it can ultimately help us regain a sense of control over our lives. When we reach out for help, we are actively taking steps to address our struggles, to improve our situation, and to move forward. We are acknowledging that we cannot handle everything on our own, but that doesn't mean we are weak or incapable. In fact, asking for help takes courage and strength. It takes the bravery to admit that we need others, and the confidence to trust that those who care about us will be there for us when we need them most. There are many forms of help we can seek depending on our needs and circumstances. Sometimes asking for help might mean talking to a friend or family member about what we're going through. Other times it might involve seeking professional support, such as therapy or counseling, to work through emotional or psychological challenges. In some cases, it might mean reaching out to a support group or a community resource for assistance. The key is understanding that help is available and that it's okay to explore different avenues for support. No matter what form it takes, reaching out for help is an essential part of the healing process. It's important to remember that asking for help is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. We may need help at various points in our lives, and that's okay. Healing, growth, and personal development are not linear processes, and there will always be times when we need to lean on others. The more we practice asking for help, the easier it becomes, and the more we realize that it is not a sign of weakness but of strength. It is an act of courage and self-care that can bring us closer to healing and wholeness. Asking for help is an act of trust, not just in others, but also in ourselves. It requires us to recognize that we are deserving of care and support, and that we don't have to face life's challenges alone. By reaching out for help, we take a step toward healing, growth, and connection. We give ourselves the opportunity to heal, not in isolation, but with the support of those around us. It's a powerful reminder that we are all human, and we all need help sometimes. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a step towards strength, resilience, and emotional well-being. Mental health awareness is crucial for building a supportive and understanding society. For far too long, mental health has been ignored or misunderstood, often relegated to the sidelines in discussions about overall well-being. This lack of awareness has perpetuated stigma, misinformation, and harmful stereotypes, preventing many people from seeking the help they need. Mental health is just as important as physical health, yet it has often been treated as secondary or less important. The conversation around mental health needs to evolve with a focus on education, empathy, and creating a culture that supports those who are struggling. Raising awareness about mental health can help break down these barriers, encourage open conversations, and ultimately lead to better support systems for individuals affected by mental health issues. One of the primary reasons mental health awareness is so essential is that many people are unaware of the signs and symptoms of mental health conditions. Mental health issues are often not as visible as physical illnesses, making it difficult for others to recognize when someone is struggling. This can lead to feelings of isolation and confusion for those affected, as they may not understand what they are experiencing or how to seek help. Without the necessary awareness, individuals may feel that they are the only ones going through their challenges, which can exacerbate their distress and delay recovery. Awareness can help people recognize when they or others are struggling, providing the opportunity to seek help and begin the healing process. Education plays a significant role in mental health awareness. Many people still hold misconceptions or misunderstandings about mental health conditions, often based on stereotypes or misinformation. These misconceptions can create fear or prejudice, leading to further stigmatization of those affected by mental health issues. For example, some may view individuals with mental health conditions as weak, unstable, or incapable, which only reinforces harmful stereotypes and discourages those in need from reaching out. By providing education about the nature of mental health conditions, their causes, and their treatments, we can reduce stigma and promote a more empathetic understanding of the challenges people face. Education can also help individuals recognize that mental health conditions are not a reflection of personal failure, but are often the result of complex biological, psychological, and environmental factors. Another important aspect of mental health awareness is the promotion of early intervention. Many mental health conditions, such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD, often begin with subtle signs and symptoms. If these signs are not recognized and addressed early, they can develop into more serious and debilitating conditions. Early intervention can make a significant difference in the outcome of mental health treatment, allowing individuals to manage their symptoms before they worsen. Mental health awareness can encourage people to seek help at the first signs of trouble, which can prevent the escalation of their conditions and lead to more effective treatment. It also empowers individuals to prioritize their mental well-being and seek support before their mental health struggles become overwhelming. A significant barrier to seeking help is the stigma surrounding mental health. In many societies, there is still a great deal of shame associated with mental health struggles. People may fear judgment or rejection from others if they admit to having a mental health condition, and this fear can prevent them from seeking help or even acknowledging their struggles. Mental health awareness is key to challenging this stigma and creating a culture where it is safe to talk openly about mental health. When we normalize mental health conversations, we create an environment where individuals feel supported rather than ashamed. This shift in societal attitudes can encourage people to seek treatment, support, and resources without fear of judgment, and it can lead to greater overall mental well-being in communities. Awareness also helps to foster empathy and understanding. When we take the time to learn about mental health, we become better equipped to support those around us. We learn that mental health struggles are not a matter of simply thinking positively or getting over it. They are real, complex conditions that require understanding, care, and attention. People with mental health challenges often feel misunderstood or invalidated, especially when others downplay or dismiss their struggles. By raising awareness, we can create a more compassionate society where individuals feel seen and heard, and where their experiences are taken seriously. This empathy can make a world of difference in the lives of those who are struggling, offering them the support and validation they need to heal. Another crucial aspect of mental health awareness is the importance of self-care and self-compassion. Many individuals who struggle with mental health conditions often feel guilty or inadequate, believing that they should be able to handle everything on their own. This self-criticism can prevent them from seeking help or taking the necessary steps to take care of themselves. Awareness of mental health encourages individuals to recognize the importance of self-care and to prioritize their mental well-being just as they would their physical health. Self-compassion is a vital component of this process, as it involves treating oneself with kindness and understanding rather than harsh judgment. By promoting self-care and self-compassion, we can help individuals break free from the cycle of guilt and self-blame and empower them to take the necessary steps toward healing. Mental health awareness also extends to the workplace, schools, and other institutions. Workplaces and educational environments can have a significant impact on an individual's mental well-being.